Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Doc and Queenie Facebook Live. Good morning, good afternoon, Queenie.
Good evening, good tomorrow, Doc, depending upon who's watching from where. We actually had one of our friends from Australia said, you guys keep talking about Monday at high noon, and it's actually Tuesday morning at 4 o'clock or something here. So it's super fun to find our friends from all across the globe joining us. This is a blast.
That is so cool. That I always it's just like, oh, it's Tuesday. No, it's not. How did Monday go?
Like I don't have enough trouble figuring out what day it actually is in the United States. So when they do that, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I actually keep an app on my phone now that converts Celsius to Fahrenheit, because some of my friends say it's 4 degrees here. And I'm sitting here, like, how are you breathing? And it's like 50 Fahrenheit. And then they're saying something like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. And it's 4 o'clock in the morning for them and midnight or something for me. And I'm like, how do you do that? So yeah, it really has turned out to be a learning curve. Let's just go there.
Well, and that's, I in my line of work too, I'm dealing with millimeters, milliliters, and I'm just like, but we're the only country, I do believe, that does feet in Fahrenheit. Everybody else is Celsius.
That's a good point. How fast do you go? Well, don't you answer, please. How fast do you go kilometers versus miles and all that stuff? And I'm just like, hang on a second. Let me ask Siri. I don't know how to do that. So but that's how they talk. It's 3 kilometers from the beach or 12 kilometers from the something. And I'm just going,
which means nothing to us.
Yeah, but it's just a funny thing when you think about interpretation, and what we take for granted is not the same as what someone else would be doing in another country. So the bigger your world gets, the more adjustment you make, which is why I keep all that stuff on my phone. So I have an app so I can say, hang on a second, 4 degrees equals.
Let me check. Yeah. And that reminds me of a story.
I love stories, Doc. What's up?
Well, when we first were married, we went to Canada for our honeymoon. Okay. And everything was kilometers. And we arrived at the airport and had to drive. And I want to say it was like 90 kilometers. And we thought, oh, it's, and it just dragged on and on and on, because we, like you just said, we did not understand, nor did we convert the distance piece.
Yeah, 90 kilometers doesn't sound too bad, but I bet you were driving around for hours.
Yes, we were. Yes, but we did arrive. We finally got there.
Can you imagine, honestly? Well, let's just try this, okay? And for anybody that's under 20, probably will crack up. In the olden days, when somebody said, how do you spell whatever? What did you say? Look it up. So look it up meant go get a dictionary, which is a book in your hand. For those of you who are, for those of you under 20 that are listening with us today, and then you open up the dictionary and figure out the closest thing you can come to what the word was that you don't know how to spell. And that was a very interesting thing for me when I was with people from other cultures. Paralyze is not in the dictionary. So I was like, paralyze is not in the dictionary. So I'm thinking it's a trick question, but it's not in the dictionary because they were spelling it the way it sounds. And obviously it's got a Y on there for good measure.
Yes.
And so then they asked the difference between immature and premature. So if you're going to go dictionary definition, different conversation, and then you obviously use the word in a sentence for them. So when people from other countries come here, we just assume that they would know how to do the slang version of what we do on a lot of scales. And then when you don't know how to spell something, look up pneumonia. So they're looking up pneumonia and they go, pneumonia is not in the dictionary either. So now I'm instantly going, pneumonia is not in the dictionary. What is going on with this dictionary? Hello, gullible. And so that's when I just went, oh my gosh. So how hard would it be to go from another country to here and all the things that we assume because we've learned them forever. And it's a different conversation. Now, of course, you go, hey, Google, how do you spell? Oh, don't talk, please. How do you spell whatever?
Yeah.
And it's back to that same thing. And now your house alerts you to people in the driveway, or somebody's at the door 10 minutes before they get there and all this stuff. And everything's automatic. And it just cracks me up how we have changed so much just in our lifetimes.
Well, and then our English is different from the UK. I mean, we have our own little bent to everything.
Yeah. What do they say? Ring me up. And I'm going, ring me up. And so ring me up to me is a cash register. They ring up your,
Oh, I'm thinking the phone, but.
right, and that's what it is. And so ring up is what they say, give me a call sometime. And so that's what they say. And it's just, once again, it's just vernacular, of course, but it's back to that same drill. The bigger your world gets, the more adjustments you can make and learning how to do different things. And so it's just been a fantastic, unbelievable learning curve. And again, we're super sorry about the illnesses and suffering and losses that people have incurred because of pandemic and shutdown and viruses and things like that. But it's back to that same thing, punt and pivot and twist some of that awful into what can be used for good. And making our world smaller through all this Zoom stuff has been amazing.
Right.
Your reach, like I say, what are you up to? 25 million trillion zillion on your Instagram now?
About 30,000 is my reach.
Oh my gosh.
And it fluctuates depending on how consistent I am with my reels and my posts.
Okay, fair.
And then how consistent I am with my hashtags. And I always, I'm sure it's a surprise to you, Queenie, but I always shoot for those hashtags. Yes, consistency. That are, yes, above 1 million, views or uses, as opposed to the, 1,100 people use this hashtag. Well, so, but it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. And of course, being an A type of personality, go, push, push, push. I'm always looking for something to film. My family is like, Mom. And I'm like,
it is so funny to me when people say, what did you do for the weekend? And they say, oh, not much. I laid on the sofa, had my feet up, iced tea, soaking in some sunshine that was dashing around between the clouds. And I'm going, sitting on the sofa with your feet up with nothing to do. Like, how does that actually work? And it really,
I would not be the person to ask what that means.
Yeah, I'm not a good sitter, and that's my thing. There's got to be a project or a something or this. And I sat on the sofa with my feet up, and I think I did that for several hours on Saturday. And I'm going, holy moly! And so I'm trying to design a car that allows you to stand while you're driving. Yeah, I doubt that will fly, but we'll see. But I seriously mean it. One of my hesitancies for going to Japan for my company headquarters is 17-hour flight. And I'm sitting there going, how am I going to sit on a plane for 17 hours and do absolutely nothing?
They would be, ma'am, please sit down.
Right. Yeah. You possibly
back
cannot go back to the bathroom 1,200 times. It's not possible. I'm not actually going to the bathroom. I'm just doing my laps. And it's like, and so I can't even imagine doing that. But anyway, we'll see if that flies ultimately. But 17.
Well, have you seen some of these? I don't know which airlines it is. I don't know if the one Japan Airlines or whatever, but have you seen some of these airlines that are specific airplanes specific to that long distance? It's incredible. Everything lays down to a bed. It almost looks like, you've got your own little office, you've got your little cubby.
Yeah.
That's probably all the first class, but it's incredible. But yeah, no,
I bet it would be. And I can imagine those would be amazing to have your own little cocoon suite on an airliner that's going to take you across the globe. And yeah, I think that would be awesome. And I know they've got a lot of things in the works that's going to be instant here from California to New York in 3 minutes. And so you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. And honestly, think about dictionaries are gone now. So hello, we use Google, and you go back and forth to all of these different questions, and your whole house is automatic. Something's probably cooking dinner as we speak in someone's house, not this one.
That'd be nice. Wow.
Yeah. And so it's just amazing to me how things have changed and in our lifetimes. And these young kids, even when they started out with all these little handheld devices or low cars and little stuff, they now have electronics that just, oh my gosh, are amazing. So they're constant change.
Well, and unfortunately, what I see, my kids, since you're only 29 and I'm 25, they're a little bit younger than your kids.
Yeah.
And how was that? Did I do good on that? What I see with the whole electronic piece is I see the lack of contact and communication, especially with my youngest. I will never forget, she got assigned her roommate at college. And aren't you going to call her? No. don't you want to know what she's bringing? Oh, I'll text her, I'll text her. So they texted each other. Like, so she'd never talked to her on the phone. Yeah. So it's
It
foreign
really,
to me.
that is so true. And we're having a dinner party here Thursday night. So the text message would be, what do you want me to bring? So the text message back would be this, the text message something. In the olden days, you're having a dinner party on Thursday, you would call whomever and say, what can I bring? And they would tell you. And even though in my case, it's obviously chips and plates, it's back to that same drill. The conversation still ensued. And that's not what happens these days.
Right. Yeah.
Really, it's a big change and it's a big adjustment. And you know what's hysterical? I did a one-on-one on Saturday in the morning after one of my networking meetings. The lady wanted to have the one-on-one on a phone call. And
that's kind of bizarre.
it was very bizarre. I had a Zoom first, a phone call second, and then a Zoom third on Saturday. And so I thought, well, let's see how this works, because I didn't know why she picked it. It's generational. And even though she knows how to do a Zoom, she was more comfortable on the phone. And I just thought, isn't that a trip? It's generational. I looked her up to see, and I think she might be a generation, maybe even older than I. Imagine that. And she was
30?
comfortable. Yeah, 30. She was more comfortable on the phone. So and it doesn't me either way, but I was very surprised. Can we do a phone call? Is that okay? And I was like, wow.
Well, and you also see generational in a lot of, you see some people are kind of breaking that generational piece when it comes to social media. And then others are just so set in, I can only do this. I'm intimidated by that, Yeah. It's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
That's for sure. Yeah, I'm intimidated by, and I look back to who doesn't like to have videos of themselves or photographs of themselves, and I'm going, right. And so now I'm sitting here going, that's not going to up my YouTube channel, Pumpkin. You're going to have to jump off that cliff and get that done. And now it's comfort, I guess, but it's back to that same thing. I don't do YouTube. I don't do LinkedIn. I don't do whatever it is. And okay, then don't, but your reach is going to stay this small. And if you actually want it to get bigger, you're going to have to quit saying, I don't do whatever it is you don't do. So
yeah. And, welcome to the club of, I a lot of times I look back at some of the videos I've done and I just laugh. I'm like, oh, look at that. That's kind of scary.
And
it's kind of like,
I use those as what not to do. Actually, yeah. I say, and I do look back to your first video and it's either jumpy like this, or it is, you got people's heads cut off or just whatever. It's hysterical. And
or upside down. I did a couple of like,
that's fantastic. Yeah. That is a very good point. And so not all of us come out of the box this way. And that's when I always say during any of my trainings, the expert at anything was once a beginner, and those at the top of the mountain didn't fall here.
Right.
And so I always put that in there because other people are going, I could never do that. And I'm
well, you just created that then,
absolutely.
And what, there's one more thing that you do, Queenie, that you always say.
What?
Just push a button.
Yeah.
Not going to break it.
Yeah, that's right. I do say that. Yeah. I always say, push a button. You can't break anything. If I haven't broken something yet, you can't break it. So, yeah. It doesn't happen on the computer, but when you go in that K room in there, that could be a different story. So don't do anything in the kitchen if under my expert tutelage. Stay on the computer and we can work together.
Just 1-800
DoorDash. Call Doc. Yeah, right. 1-800 have it delivered or call Doc. Yeah. If Doc can't do whatever it is you need and I don't know how to do it on the computer, you're gonna have to do DoorDash or somebody else because that's not my gift. Oh my gosh. Now
I have to do.
I was just
sorry, go ahead.
You've got National Days of, and I can't wait to hear what that is because sometimes you tear.
I just have one that I like today.
Only one. All right, let's hear it.
And it's not food related, so believe it or not. I know, that's kind of strange.
Yeah, it is. Holy moly.
Today
we got us
is National Lucky Penny Day.
Wow.
See, it even says lucky on it. So I guess if penny doesn't say lucky, then it's not lucky.
Now,
but of course I don't believe in luck, so.
Right. Oh, I definitely don't either. Now, isn't that a funny thing? Young people would be looking at this going,
Like,
on earth is a coin. And for those of you over 27, you might have rolled coins back in your day. And young people are going, roll it to where? I'm just like, you take a paper tube and you put them in. So there's how many in there, and the bank weighs them and pays you that amount of money with paper dollars. And the kids are just going, what was the purpose? So you save your coins. Oh my gosh, that would never happen. But that's very cool to even see pennies. Now, dumb question, I suppose, but when you always do your research before the National Day of, is there still a penny shortage? Like, I would imagine that that's not happening anymore since everybody doesn't use pennies.
I honestly don't know because I haven't looked that up in a while. So,
Okay, because I don't even
but
know coin shortage or any of that, because how can there be a shortage if you don't use them?
right. What I was thinking of as you were talking about, younger kids not recognizing coins, what I notice all the time is if you see somebody paying cash, you always notice the people looking at the computer to see how to count it back. And that was one of those
That's a trip.
things that you learned pretty quickly of how to count it back, count it out, and even how they count it out. And which just drives me crazy is the bills with a stack of change on top of it, and they just hand it to you. So then I'm the person that can be anal that counts through it to make sure you gave me the correct change.
Yeah, I don't think that's anal. I think that's responsible, because what the computer says and what they pull out of the drawer and what they hand to you might not be all three consistencies. So I think that.
Well, and then a lot of times if I do pay cash, then I'm thinking, if it's 10:01, then I will give you 20:01. I mean, that kind of, it's calculating how
that throws them off big time. I have seen that happen. Yeah, that throws them off big time. And I don't know what's up with the math situation these days, but is there such a thing as a calculator? Like, do kids use those things anymore?
I don't think so.
Or whatever those T things were called. It was a handheld something. It was you had to have a da-da-da for algebra. And I'm like, okay. And of course, all the kids have their own. And you have to have that because it's the next step up from a calculator.
Oh, yeah, it had the cosine and the blah, blah, blah on it.
Yeah. And I look at that and I'm just going, what does a school supply list look like now?
Oh, I know when my kids were in high school, especially, I mean, you spent $500 or $600 on school supplies.
And I wonder what is on there. iPad, laptop. I mean, what is on there?
Right.
And I bet
it's not a different world.
A dictionary, right?
Or how about thesaurus?
Yeah, that's why I say I can't even imagine what that school supply list looks like these days. And speaking of, I think school's out for a lot of districts now, which is kind of amazing. Some are still hanging on either for snow days or COVID days or whatever was happening, but some of the schools are out in the Kansas City metro area. So that's always interesting to me. Everybody gets to start summer. And I woke up this morning about 5 o'clock and it was 42 degrees.
Yes.
And that's Fahrenheit for those of you listening that are Celsius. And I'm looking at this going, what is happening? It is the end of May.
Mm-hmm. Well, which explains I'm wearing a hat again this week because I've been outside and I really don't, and I have hat hair. My garden, I've been working on my community garden and we are
I was going to ask you about that.
Because of the rain and now with the cold, because we still have more tomatoes to put in, and it's like I can't put in the warmer weather stuff as far as plants until things level out again, because I don't want them to get waterlogged or shocked because it's below 50, especially tomato plants.
What should we be up to right now? Like for you to be, I forgot about that. You're still doing your planting, then you're not even into harvest or weeding or all those. Oh my gosh, I guess I didn't think of that.
No, we are, and I'm going to talk. I forgot to plug in my computer. We are, so you don't lose me. We are in, right now, we should be basically finishing up with most of our plants. Can't believe I forgot to plug
Think
this
of
in.
that. Wow. So
Yeah,
you still have stuff in your big community garden that's not even in the ground yet.
correct,
Huh.
correct.
And so your overnight temperatures are what's important, or the rain, or no sunshine, or what is the component?
Well, because of the rain, there we go. Because of the rain, we got flooded out. So a lot of our bush beans didn't come up. So we've had to replant that.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
And then it actually, the rain and the cooler temps have been great for the cool crops, which are like the broccoli and the cauliflower and the cabbage and onions. Onions will grow whenever, wherever. But yeah, things like we've got tomatoes. I just put in watermelon and pumpkins the other day, and those are okay.
Wow.
Those were plants, but the tomatoes are kind of wilted and kind of, it looks like the shock, from being in the 40s. Yeah. But right now, I mean, it would be more of your warm weather, your squash, your watermelons, your melons, okra. What else do we have? Cucumbers. The corn is up. So yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah.
Okay, is it okay if I take this moment to ask you an actual gardening expert question? Because I know that you charge for consultations. I know your initial ones are free, but after that, maintenance, et cetera. You see mini stuff on store shelves, okay? So is that a messed with seed, or can you really have a mini cucumber or a mini this or a mini something?
Yeah, they've taken different cucumbers, let's say, that have those traits, and they call those hybrids, and they just keep putting them together until they get what they want. Yeah, I mean, it's manipulation of
It's not organic or healthy if you do a mini something.
Hybrids, they're messing with it. The organic piece, it kind of goes two ways. It depends on how they've raised that plant, and that's kind of, actually, that's separate from how they've, like, I'm trying to think of what's the easiest way to explain it. An heirloom variety,
yes,
is basically something that's been handed down for basically decades, centuries, whatever, and that plant adjusts to its environment, depending on where it was grown, and it just keeps replicating. You will get the same plant everywhere. The minis are probably hybrids, which means they take, this plant that's got strength and these characteristics, and this plant, and they're both small or whatever, and they do their thing with making a new variety.
wow.
Yeah, the organic concept is basically, they don't spray with pesticides that are chemicals.
Okay.
And in the hybrids, my guess is since they are messing around with plants that are not heirloom, is they might be also using chemical pesticides and fertilizers and that kind of stuff. So I don't know if I really answered your.
Well, but that's why I say, I guess it depends on exactly what you're buying, because I see these many things on store shelves and I always go, well, that's a good size, because these big honking things are just, who needs that much food? But you see these smaller versions of stuff and I went, well, that'll be cool. And then I thought, wait a second, I don't think you can do a mini something, because I don't think that means take it off the vine until it's done. I think it means it's a small version of something.
It's a small version, and there could be heirlooms out there, or organic heirlooms. Organic is the process of how you fertilize and, that kind of stuff, how you raise it.
Okay.
As far as hybrids and heirlooms, that's the type of plant you get. Your heirlooms are passed generation to generation. They call it open pollinated, which means anything and everything can pollinate it in order for it to produce fruit. Your hybrids, they're not, I mean, they will be pollinated, but they've messed with the DNA and the genetics by putting two together. And there could be heirloom, miniature, whatever's. We just see wherever we live, they always try to, they pick the popular vegetables, which of course are tomatoes, basil, cucumbers, green peppers, those kinds of things, which are easy to grow and they're popular no matter where you live. And then they might have different varieties per where you live, as far as, maybe a certain type of tomato does better down in Florida than it would be here in Kansas City.
Oh, all right. Now that's interesting. And that's climate
Yeah.
and soil related?
Well, at soil, all of the elements, water, sunshine, all of those have an impact. And then your recipe for your soil has an impact. The plant will survive provided you give it the right nutrients, but they will give you like your best case scenario, is in the variety of what plants are successful in the area, in the zone that you live, the growing zone that you live in. So
many variables in your business.
yeah.
And that's why I was wondering, because like I say, when you shop through certain locations, certain stores that are healthy stores that shall remain nameless, and you walk through and I'm just going, I don't think that can be what it says like that. And then you wonder about the flavor, even after you bring it home and rinse it, in a Kangen water machine situation, instead of just tap water. I get all of that, but then I always kind of wonder, it has to matter where it came from and what the growing system in that particular area looked like. So I just don't trust all that stuff every single time. I have a girlfriend that is has a lot of health challenges, and she actually rinses her avocados in our antiseptic water. And because where do they come from? A, and what's on them? B, and she doesn't want tap water getting into the avocado. And so she rinses the outside of the skin first to get the bacteria off, or whatever crud might be on there. And then when she actually peels it, she can trust the meat inside for the avocado. So you just don't know what you're getting these days. And I appreciate that. But for people with health challenges, it's probably a good idea to know where it comes from, and certainly how you rinse it.
Right. Well, and also and I think I've mentioned this in some of our networking already, there is a group called Environmental Working Group, or EWG,
Yeah.
believe.org, that rates if you're going to buy conventional produce, they rate what's the best to buy based on the pesticide load. They are testing for pesticides on the fruit or vegetable. And some of the worst as far as being sprayed with pesticides. And this doesn't even take into consideration if it's conventionally grown or organic or whatever. It's just the load of pesticides. Some of your, they call it the clean 15, or the top 15 that you can buy conventionally that are very low in pesticides, if that's what you have to do. The dirty dozen are the ones with the highest pesticide loads. And you have things like strawberries, berries are big on pesticide heaviness of loads.
Oh,
Apples,
wow.
nectarines, of course, those are all my favorite. But then you've got things like cantaloupe, because it has such a thick rind on it. The way I'm sure they are spraying, but that pesticide load does not reach the fruit because the rind is so thick. Watermelon, I'm not sure. I want to say watermelon's up on there. I haven't looked at it in a while, but yeah, there's different things.
That's amazing. I never thought of that. So it's the clean 15, the dirty dozen, and it's ewg.org. Okay, I'm really going to take a look at that, because some of the stuff that's coming out in the stores, I'm just really not comfortable with at this point.
Yeah.
Again, it's in stores, and I'm kind of going, I don't know if that's a good fit here.
And I always say to people, if you can even just grow a little bit, it makes a big difference. The grower, where it's coming from, and just the taste is just. We right now in our community garden, we were planting corn this morning. So far, we have 350 corn plants that are up about 6 inches, and we're planting another 300 today.
350 corn stalks, which all ears like times how much? Holy moly, girlfriend.
Times two or four. Well, I'm trying to think of how many. It's been a while since I've grown corn. It's at least 2 ears of corn. It might be 3 ears of corn per stalk.
I've actually been to corn fields. I know that cracks you up, but we used to pick popcorn, and after everything croaked or whatever it is, you go out to the corn fields, and now all the little kernel things are hard. And I don't know if that's a specific type or whatever, but whatever it is, and it was cool. And my kids loved popcorn and the grains and all that stuff. And so we would let them go to the field and you pick off, like you pull this corn thing, and then they had a machine that you shuck through the stuff and it makes popcorn happen in your bag. And it was the coolest thing ever. And of course, then you go home and pop it, and they just thought this was such a genius thing.
That's
But
cool.
I know there were lots of corn ears on these big stalk things. And then of course, some people took the stalks home because they wanted them for fall decoration. Mhm.
Yep.
And so of course I'm looking at that just going mess, ew.
Yeah.
Some people like that stuff actually. And then one of my friends actually shared with me, you went into a cornfield, and I said, yeah, I had such a blast. And then they go, how many mice did you see?
Or snakes.
What? Right. And I'm sitting here not even thinking of that. And
Which is good.
that did, yeah, it is good now because I ain't been back since. Let's just go there. And I'm just sitting here going, and then somebody said, watch out for the cuckleburs. And of course, I'm jumping and freaking going, what on earth is a cucklebur? And then of course they said, you've got several on your shoe, which the place was never the same after that with me there. But it's a little sticky, prickly thing that hooks to your tennis shoelace.
Yep. And it's actually where they got the idea for Velcro.
Oh my, well, Velcro, that's a very good point, because getting those things off of there is not an easy task. Let's just go there. But I'm freaking out thinking a cucklebur is some kind of thing that's going to come and eat
It's a
you.
bug.
Yeah, or a bug, yes. And all it is this little prickly thing. Now, what is that, and where does it come from, and why is it in the cornfield?
Well, it's probably a weed usually.
Okay.
And when they go to seed, they produce these little burrs. And if you look at them up close,
No.
they have little spikies on them that are curved. And that's actually how they figured out the Velcro thing, because it sticks to your gym shoes, your shoelaces, your pant legs. And yeah, it's just part of being out in the country, I guess.
And I guess it was too much for my girlfriend when she said, you were in a cornfield. And I said, yeah, the kids wanted to pick popcorn. And of course she goes, honey, you don't pick popcorn. And I said, hang on a second. I said, you pick the corn thing off the deal and you hook it in this thing and it zaps through the deal. And she goes, your verbiage is killing me. And but anyway, like I say, the kids had a blast, and it was when they were super young. But I look back on that and I go, oh my gosh. And I don't know if you know this, Doc, but I'm actually not a farm girl. And
Wow.
I know, write that down. But it was a very big surprise to me to be even out there, and imagine for her saying, did you see a lot of mice? And I was like, I didn't see any mice. Why would you say that? And she goes, honey, a cornfield, come on, do the math. And I did that. Anyway, that was the last time I had ever been to a cornfield. I never did that.
So Queenie, would you come help us pick all of our corn when it's ready?
You know, I am sure I will put that on my schedule, Dr. Laura. Absolutely.
Get back to me. Yeah.
I'll get back to you. Yeah. I'll have my people call your people.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll hire it done with someone, I'm sure. Or in fact, I was thinking about that when you were talking about some of your plants that you had to redo for your beans. All this community garden that you're doing, are there food bank locations that are waiting on this harvest, or how does that work as far as
we've got a couple of food banks in the area, yeah, that
and so
will
the
take
charities
fresh.
wait for the harvest, and that's you just have to tell them that the crops got destroyed because of the cold? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we will just bring in, as things come in, we will bring in what we have, yeah, to feed people that, you know, people that are struggling, poor people that are struggling, a lot of times don't get fresh produce. So
yeah, yeah. And the food banks found you, or you found the food banks?
I found the food banks because they didn't know we were, you know, doing this, but word is starting to get around. And I post on my YouTube here and there, and you know, I've been slowly networking on that because I've been out in the fields trying to plant. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't market plus do it at the same time. I understand.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but we're getting there. It's been, you know, I keep saying we're getting there, but we are. It's a slow process because we have to, with the weather really has been just crazy.
Oh my God. And like I say, when I saw this morning, it was 42 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm looking at this going, and even right now it's so cloudy, and I checked the forecast and we are supposed to get rain for almost 40 hours. And looking at this going, what? And so every single hour of all of this time going forward, 40 hours of straight rain. Now, I don't know if that means deluge or sprinkle, but I looked at that and I just thought, oh my goodness. Now, I'm always happy for free water, but there is an actual limit to my joy in that arena as well.
Well, we had some transplants sitting out and we lost several
Oh, that
because they've been
kills me.
waterlogged. Because we haven't had the chance to get them in because it takes 2 to 3 days for everything to dry out. And then it would rain again. So, so we planted beans and part of the corn today. And we're going to try to get some more plants in. And I actually was just telling one of my helpers, we're going to be planting for the next couple of weeks. And the good thing about this area, hopefully, we stay warm until about mid-November. So we still have a little bit of time to get more of the crops in that will, as long as we get that hot summer, we have some extended time. But
so even though you're late getting the crops in, the growing season can still happen because we've got a longer time for the warmth.
Yeah, October, November-ish. Yeah.
Okay, well, that doesn't sound so bad then.
As long as as long as we get back into a quote unquote normal pattern for this area. Yeah, I actually have planted in my own garden stuff late and harvest just a little bit later than everybody else, but at least I was able to harvest it and it grew, and that's what I'm hoping here. So we will just, it's for all of us on this scale. For me, I've never done this large of a scale, and it's always a learning experience. It's like push the button,
So I think
so
what
I'm just
you do is a little more strategic than my pushing buttons.
yeah. I mean, it's weather patterns, it's companion planting, it's timing, and it's whether to buy a seedling or plant a seed. There's a lot involved, but we'll get there. I'm always hopeful.
Because you said that, I can actually see why people say I'm growing stuff in my house or garages first, and then you let it do whatever it does, and then you take that thing to put in the ground. So
Right.
I understand that process a little better.
Yeah. So, but yeah, well, it's not, in some respects, I guess it's not for the faint of heart. It's not a quick fix. But I just enjoy watching, it's the miracle. You're watching a miracle. A little seed turns into a plant that gets you a
I think the
tomato.
whole thing is a miracle, actually, and I'm not kidding. You see the stores and you look at this and you go, and you don't think, where did this come from initially? Okay. And it really is very interesting to me how the whole thing works to now have processed food, which makes you now think, with all the things that you teach us as far as organic growing and actual real live living food. And then you see the stuff on the stores and it's like, wow. And then I can't remember actually if you're the one who taught us early on, only shop the perimeter of the store, don't go in the middle. And when I see things like that, you look at this and you go, no wonder the stuff on the outside is healthy, good living, hopefully. And the stuff in the middle is the processed crud that doesn't need refrigeration or anything because it lasts 253 years. And when you see expiration, best buy something, whatever the date is, I look at that and I just go, oh my gosh, this could actually last us through an apocalypse. And I've never figured those things out when people check an expiration date and go, yeah, this will last until I'm 55. And I'm going, oh my goodness. So yeah, it's very awesome, the things that you've taught us, because I really didn't know all these seedling planting. What are those little teensy sprouts? You were talking about those little teensy things that you grow and you put on your salad. And are those weather okay, or did you have to make those be inside plants?
Those generally, microgreens or sprouts.
Sorry,
Yeah, usually those are grown indoors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you
and you can grow those throughout the year.
And that way you have stuff for salad. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm actually getting ready to do some YouTubes on those because I'm gonna grow. And those are great because you can grow those from any kind of seed, any vegetable seed. You just grow them up about half an inch and cut them. And they're nutritionally, they're a powerhouse because all of the nutrients in that little seedling, and there's actually more nutrition in that little microgreen than it is in the whole plant when it matures and produces fruit. I mean, it's just incredible. So.
Wow, that is so awesome, Doc. You're fascinating, and no wonder your YouTube channel is doing so well. I know that you're looking for subscribers, so let's hear about your address for your YouTube.
Well, my ask for my YouTube is Kitchen Garden Expert. And I know you hit 400 and you are moving on. What's the next number, Queenie? 500 or are you going for 1,000?
Well, let's do 407 or 10 before we go totally.
407. Okay.
Yeah. 1,000 is my goal for 2022. So if I get to 500 by June 30th, I'm halfway there, and it's working out perfectly strategically, which makes my heart happy. So I really do thank everyone for subscribing, because it's super fun. And literally people are finding my channel all across the world. And one was in Australia, just read my grief journey book. And I got another girl into one of my networking groups and she's from the Ukraine. And she got me because of networking hashtag and YouTube videos on how to find networking groups. And you just never know. And so because of YouTube, I now have international exposure.
Awesome.
It's hysterical to me. Yeah.
Well, and like you say, the hashtags work. The hashtags work. I've had a bunch of people pop up and ask me questions from hashtags, which it definitely works on Instagram. I can vouch for that.
I love this so much. And who knew, a couple of years ago, I was just going, this is fun. And now I'm going, works. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
Really
well,
works.
And it's a constant punt and pivot and figure. But that's the power of networking too. If you don't know something and you're pushing all the buttons that's still not working, then you go out and look for somebody that knows what they're talking about. And because I always learn from everybody, even in the gardening realm, we're always,
oh, I bet there's so much to know in your business.
Yeah, there's just, and then everybody's at a different level. So there's always something to learn with anything, like your water, like your networking, yeah. So
no, 1,000,000%. There's always something new, and the learning piece and being findable and all that stuff. And yeah, it's just so fun. And to meet people from all across the globe and have a connection, like you've got camaraderie with these folks, it's very cool.
So stay tuned, everybody, also, because we like to do these guest live things. We've got a few coming up here in the next couple of weeks with some interesting people.
I love that.
So guess what, Queenie?
Don't even tell me, Doc.
It's time. We have to go, but I have to get outside before it rains.
Yeah. Yes, and I actually have another meeting that's already dinging.
You've got another meeting. I have to get outside. So,
I know.
So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Doc and Queenie Facebook Live on Mondays at. You can reach Queenie at KathyWeaverKC.com, and then on Social Weaver. Oh boy, I'm doing good. On Social Weaver.
I'm gonna go buy that domain name. Thank you, Doc.
Yeah, there you go. We've just invented a new hashtag. And my dog is up. She knows that she's just like, okay, it's time to go.
You said OT, that's the deal.
Yes. So you can reach Queenie on social media at Kathy Weaver KC. You can reach me at kitchengardenexpert.com, and likewise on social media at Kitchen Garden Expert. So until next Monday, have a fantastic week, or maybe you will join us on Thursdays at 7 p.m. for Bible trivia. We hope to see you either Monday or Thursday. Thank you, Queenie.
Thank you, Doc. Goodbye for now.
Bye, everyone.